The world of the Subnautica games, and more specifically Planet 4546b, is undoubtedly not the friendliest place to live. Biomes with death traps at every turn, creatures hungering for your flesh, crushing depths that make even the bravest of us squirm. It's safe to say that surviving this place is no easy feat. There have only been very few who could comfortably say they've mastered the planet throughout the years since its initial discovery, and today, well, we'll be talking about the one who outshines them all. An unlikely survivor who has battled the harsh conditions for over a decade and always came out on top. My friends, today we'll be talking about Marguerit Maida. I'll tell you everything we know about her life, personality, and time spent on 4546b so you can get a greater appreciation for this battle-hardened mercenary. So, without any further ado, let's dive right in. Now, we don't know much about Marge's early life. She was born in the Mongolian states, a corporate colony long exploited for its mineral resources, but didn't hang around too long, leaving home at 16 to join up with the Mongolian Defense Force and later the Trans-System Federation, something akin to a galactic police force. There, she went through rigorous training, becoming well-versed in ship-to-ship combat and fending off attackers in space. She spent over a decade going on tours with the Force, before finally being dishonorably discharged for going off mission. Now, the details of what exactly happened aren't all clear, but she seemingly abandoned the original objective, instead opting to save several local families by quietly dismantling all security personnel in the area over a period of 3 days. Having been let go, Margaret became muscle for hire, a mercenary traveling around odd jobs, before being hired by Paul to join the Degassi mission as freelance security personnel in her early 40s. She was 42 years old when the Degassi ship got struck by the quarantine enforcement platform near Planet 4546b and plummeted to its surface. She survived the fall with Paul and his son Bart, becoming stranded in a lifeboat for several days due to heavy downpour. The team eventually made their base on the floating island, with Marge arguing they should go deeper underwater for protection and Paul being heavily against the idea, until a landslide destroyed their base, forcing them down anyway. They established a base in the Jellyshroom Caves and eventually the Deep Grand Reef, where Bart realized they were all infected with Kara. Wanting to offer help, Marge would bring him creatures to study, from smaller passive ones to wrestling with stalkers, until one day, somehow, she managed to bring a half-dead Reaper Leviathan to the base. Unfortunately and unbeknownst to her, a second Reaper followed, destroying the base and scattering its inhabitants. In a desperate attempt to survive, she grabbed a jagged piece of metal and fought the Reaper, gouging out one of its eyes, hoping to kill it before whatever little oxygen she had ran out. The Reaper, however, had different plans. Attempting to flee the attacker, it swam out and into the void. By the time Marge killed it and surfaced with the carcass, they were too far from the crater to turn back, leaving her stranded in the endless ocean. While many people would have just given up at this point, Marge refused to, instead rationing her water out and consuming the creature for nutrition. She even managed to use a spark from her repair tool to get a fire going inside the creature's carcass. It took 3 long weeks before she washed up on the icy shores of Sector 0. Here, she continued to survive for over a decade, oblivious to the events of the first game, until Altera began establishing themselves over the planet. She wasn't just sitting idly for all those long cold days either. She managed to establish 2 major bases of operation around the frozen wasteland, with a main base in a cave below the Purple Vents biome and a greenhouse in the East Arctic area. She fashioned herself a prawn suit, which was later enhanced by the addition of a Callisterad mandible as a weapon or a tool, and even somehow managed to tame a snowstalker that she named Preston. Over the years, she has certainly adapted to everything the sector can throw at you, as we can see by the creature decoys, various containers, and a portable heater she carries on her belt. In fact, she has adapted so well that it barely seems like the decade of solitude has reflected on her personality. While she might be even more distrustful, but especially to corporations, than she was before the Degassi mission, she has maintained a strong, no-nonsense attitude with just the right pinch of sarcasm. It is exactly this attitude she expresses to Sam and later Robin when she meets them on planet 4546b, where she essentially helps them eliminate the last remnants of the Carabacterium left uncured by the newly hatched Sea Emperors. If you're interested in that story, I highly recommend you watch this summary I made for the story of Below Zero. But that's pretty much where we leave Marge today. What's next for her? What are her plans? We don't know, and she isn't exactly the type to share. If you were looking for her, instead of trying to identify her by her brown eyes, the tattoo across her left eye, or the scar on her upper lip, I just recommend following the trail of oversized bones from creatures that haunt our nightmares. Because at the end of the day,
when sea monsters are hunting you, you don't hide. You hunt the sea monsters. Then you build a bigger boat out of sea monster bones and you hunt bigger monsters. Keep going until there aren't any monsters left to hunt you.
But that, my friends, brings us to the end of the video, so I really hope you enjoyed. And if you did, maybe consider leaving a like, commenting, or subscribing. All of those would be very much appreciated. If there are any other characters you would want to see kind of broken down and detailed like this, please let me know down in the comments. I would very much like to read that. And with that, I'm gonna wish you all a beautiful rest of the day, and I'll see you all in whatever next video I make. Bye bye.